The Empire Strikes Back, The Dark Knight, T2, Toy Story 2, Aliens, the sequels that have stolen hearts and captured imaginations, earning praise and adoration. In the context and confines of the hip-to-be-squared circle, this might be Steve Austin and Bret Hart at WrestleMania 13, improving upon their classic from Survivor Series, or Austin and The Rock's wonderfully 2000s nonsense main event at WrestleMania 17. These matches have earned their flowers, but today let us take a moment to appreciate some of the more overlooked sequels deserving of their own bouquet and round of applause. Yes, let's all cheer. Remember, opinions can be different, and even if you don't think these matches are better than their predecessors, let's just be positive and talk about some good-ass matches. I'm Tempest, hailing from partsFUNknown, and these are 10 classic matches with even better overlooked sequels. But before we crack on, if you like our top 10 lists, My GM, How Adam Would Book, or Quizzlemania, make sure that you're subscribed to partsFUNknown so that we can keep bringing you the kind of content that you want to see. Believe us, it helps us more than you know. Number 10, Shawn Michaels vs. Razor Ramon, WrestleMania 10 and SummerSlam 1995. We'll get this one out of the way first, because at this point I think every YouTuber has praised this match as being underrated to the point that it is no longer underrated. Congrats everyone! Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon from SummerSlam 95 is appropriately rated as the fantastic match it is. The WrestleMania 10 ladder match is certainly more iconic than its sequel, being the first major display of this match type for everyone not watching Wrestling Challenge at the time. WWE would market that match, but the sequel at SummerSlam 1995 is arguably the stronger of the two. Sure, Shawn has an epic struggle getting the belt down, but the work is more creative now with more to build upon. It's a wonder WWE didn't market this one more, considering it's the one HB Shizzle actually won, but thankfully both matches are still a fun watch even if they can't help but be a bit dated through today's eyes. Number 9, Triple H vs. Randy Orton vs. John Cena, WrestleMania 24 and Night of Champions 2009. I really enjoy the triple threat match for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 24. I think it's a fun match. Not amazing by any means, but certainly a good time. Randy Orton walking away with the W really helped solidify him as a young champion, and when they all crossed paths again a year later at Night of Champions 2009, they upped the ante with an even better match. The WrestleMania match seemed to suffer from being in a big open-air stadium with only pockets of fans able to make noise to come across on TV, but in a smaller arena at Night of Champions, you get the full attention of the crowd, with Triple H and John Cena teaming up on Randy Orton with dual submissions before Legacy makes the save, allowing Orton to get the win. This was right about where the Cena vs. Orton rivalry became grating, and well after the Triple H vs. Orton one had, but they still pulled off a really solid match. 'Tis a good time, no alcohol required. Number 8, Kenny Omega vs. Tomohiro Ishii, G1 Special 2017 and G1 Climax 28. The G1 Climax is a wonderful thing. The G1 Climax is my favorite thing. Not only does the tournament provide countless great matches each year, but it allows for incredible rivalries to be told over the course of years in the name of competition. Kenny Omega defeated Tomohiro Ishii at the G1 Special in USA to become the first IWGP United States champion in a fantastic match, with that extra crispy dragon suplex off the apron. Fine and dandy. The less talked about follow-up to this was their match in the G1 Climax a year later, with Kenny Omega entering as the IWGP Heavyweight Champion and having gone a perfect 6-0 with Ishii playing spoiler. Hot diggity damn, this is one of my favorite matches ever. It doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it isn't, as the two lose each other and a spot completely falls apart. But it also doesn't matter because this match builds to an incredible crescendo of near falls, scored perfectly by Kevin Kelly's commentary soundbite. He's unbeatable. Omega's unbeatable. That truly made this feel like the final boss fight the G1 Climax matches should. It is an excellent match, and I recommend it most highly. Number 7, The Undertaker vs. Batista, WrestleMania 23 and Backlash 2007. People did not have high hopes for The Undertaker and Batista at WrestleMania 23, but sure enough, Mean Mark and Big Dave from Daveland pulled off a WrestleMania classic. An old warlock and Jorgen von Strangle's sentient muscle had a wonderfully enjoyable car crash match in a good but brisk 15 minutes. Could the two recreate that magic a month later at Backlash, in a last man standing match that usually leads to boring stretches of nothing happening? Yeah. Somehow, every match these two had together in 2007 worked exceptionally well, and this one in particular had the big spark big thing fall over finish WWE likes doing every so often. It is fun and goofy, and that's okay. Batista spears Joey Wheeler's grave robber off the stage into the pile of equipment WWE conveniently always has somewhere nearby before the set falls on top of them. No winner, but still a spectacle of a finish. Lovely stuff. Number 6, Bret Hart versus the British Bulldog, SummerSlam 92 and In Your House 5. A match from a random In Your House is going to have a hard time living up to one of the most acclaimed SummerSlam main events in history, but I'll be damned if Bret Hart's follow-up match with the British Bulldog Davey Boy Smith isn't just as well wrestled and just as perfectly executed as that legendary night in Wembley. Bret Hart was now firmly established as the WWF champion and defended his title against his brother-in-law, and while this match had nowhere near the pomp and circumstance that SummerSlam had, this match is still an absolute treat. If Bret Hart matches are your thing like they are mine, this is one that you should go out of your way to see if you haven't already. Bret's matches hold up better than most of their era, and that was the case whether they were in a massive stadium in London or in front of 70,000 folks in Hershey, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania. Number 5, Asuka vs. Ember Moon, TakeOver Orlando and TakeOver Brooklyn 3. It seems a tad unfortunate that Asuka and Ember Moon's excellent rivalry in NXT took place during a bit of a lull in interest for the product, after the brand split and many of NXT's best were stolen away in the night, but before the show could be repopulated with more indie stars. In the meanwhile, you had Asuka's first match with Ember at TakeOver Orlando, maybe NXT's most underrated show as barely anyone ever talks about it, and then you have this rematch at TakeOver Brooklyn. The peak of Asuka's dominance, Ember Moon being a believable choice to break Asuka's undefeated streak, and a huge stage in Brooklyn set the backdrop for what ended up being one of the best women's matches in NXT history, right up there with matches like Sasha and Bayley. It pains me deeply that these two never got to finish their rivalry on the main roster, but this is a positive list, so I'll say maybe someday. Number 4, Brody Lee vs. Cody Rhodes, the squash and the dog collar. Really, I just want an excuse to talk about this match again. Adam really loves the squash match portion of the Brody Lee and Cody Rhodes rivalry, and has mentioned it in several of his excellent lists, so I just wanted to give more of a shout out to this match, because it's great. For tons of reasons it's great. This might be personal preference, but I really like matches where the two combatants are tied together, but I equally hate the red light, green light nonsense that comes with strap matches. This match just nails it. Brody Lee and Cody Rhodes had a tremendously violent, tremendously bloody dog collar match in October of 2020, and I only wish it could have been in front of a crowd. This had the old school southern violence Cody's matches were known for, with the hero slaying the monster heel. It's simple, it's wonderful, and it will always hold a special place in history for being the last match of Brody's career. It may have been its absolute best. Number 3, Hiroshi Tanahashi vs. Kazuchika Okada, Wrestling Dontaku 2018. The Hiroshi Tanahashi vs. Kazuchika Okada rivalry is one of the greatest stories in the history of wrestling. It's brilliant, go watch it. Every match in their saga is fantastic. Every one. However, the bulk of their acclaimed rivalry ran from 2012 to 2016 with 3 excellent Wrestle Kingdom main events. You may think I would be talking about one of those, but you fool! That is not the case. At Wrestling Dontaku 2018, Okada was looking to establish a brand new all-time record for IWGP Heavyweight title defenses by beating the former record holder and all-time rival Hiroshi Tanahashi. It would take an entire video to go over the lore behind this match, a video you might find on a different channel that I promise I will post to again eventually. But this match builds upon all of the history between the two men and all of the build-up of Okada's 2-year reign. Of their many wars, this one may be their greatest. I may not be the best chef, but if this match was a cereal, it would be the best cereal. Number 2, Sasha Banks vs. Bayley, TakeOver Brooklyn and TakeOver Respect. It takes a lot to follow up maybe the best women's match in WWE history with one arguably better just 2 months later. Sasha Banks and Bayley's match at TakeOver Brooklyn 1 has reached legendary status and more than deservedly so. It's great, but their rematch at TakeOver Respect is a completely different match than they had the first time, and I might just like this one even more. Main roster Iron Person matches never seem to understand that the babyface choking away a lead is not an effective booking strategy for an enjoyable match, but this match in NXT is about the best Iron match to take place under the WWE umbrella in over a decade, because this match is just so much fun. Sasha Banks is the ultimate mean girl heel, throwing Bayley into the video wall to go up a fall by countout, all the while making Izzy cry because she stole her Bayley headband. I miss when heels made children cry. I'm a heartless bastard. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. And number 1, Kenny Omega vs. Kazuchika Okada 1 and 2. The first Kenny Omega vs. Kazuchika Okada match is one of the most legendary matches of all time. The fourth Kenny Omega vs. Kazuchika Okada match is one of the most legendary matches of all time. The second Kenny Omega vs. Kazuchika Okada match is also one of the best matches ever, but perhaps because people are only willing to stomach so many minutes of amazing action, the second match in this quadrology needs a day to be appreciated. Sometimes it is hard to watch an hour draw a second time knowing a draw is coming, but this match is an incredible ride, and by the end, with Kenny Omega hitting the one-winged angel, with Bullet Club losing their collective minds at ringside, Kenny Okada 2 is one of the most heart-pounding matches I can recall viewing with my young, impressionable eyes. If you can set aside an hour of your time for a fantastic viewing experience, you won't be disappointed. Nor will you be disappointed with Kenny Okada 3, but that is a match for another day. Maybe we'll do a best third matches list for all you Austin Rock 3 and Prisoner of Azkaban fans out there. And that's our list. If you disagreed with anything on this list, as I'm sure everyone has in the comments already, make sure that you let us know exactly where we went wrong, and I'll make sure not to read them. JK, kind of. Otherwise, make sure to like this video and subscribe if you want to see more fun wrestling content just like this. LIW for life, jam that jam.